Hello children, today I am going to explain the last page, that is page number 133. This chapter belongs to section 1, Unit 6. Earlier we have seen the story of the love of Lob and Sandy. Here you come to know that Sandy got hurt badly in an accident. Now she was admitted to a hospital and Lob was not seen anywhere. But after some day, means the next day, he was found out of the hospital and he tried to get inside the hospital, but he was stopped by the guards every time. So finally, with the help of Granny, he got chance to enter into the hospital to see the Sandy. Let's see the first para of this page, page number 133. Finally, the medical officer relented. Relented means agree. It's strictly against every rule, but as it's such a serious case, we are making an exception. Exception means that is without rules, that is not followed by rules. Extraordinary, you can say. He said to her quietly, but only for a moment or two. So finally, after hearing the case of Lob, how he came, how he travelled a long distance, everything Granny explained to that medical officer, so he agreed and gave the permission to get in. Further, he says this is the first time that they were allowing any animal in the hospital, and it is against the rule. But in case of this, because this is exceptional case, so he allowed, but only for a moment or 2 moments, means for a very little time. Without a word, Lob followed Granny Pierce. They walked to Sandy's room. Bert and Jean were inside. Everything was terribly quiet. There was a narrow bed with a long of gadgets around it. Sandy lay there, very still. All Lob's attention was riveted on the bed. Lob let out a faint whine, anxious and pleading. Now finally, they got the permission to get in. Now they walked to the room of Sandy. Bert and Jean Pengelly, the parents of Sandy, were inside the room. And this room was terribly quiet, means there is no noise, quite silent. There was a small bed surrounded by the gadgets. Gadgets means devices, means machines. So there were all around so many machines around the bed of Sandy. And Sandy was lying very still. Very still means very quiet, not doing anything, not moving. Means she is in a very bad and serious condition. Lob's attention was riveted. Riveted means just move. Interested. So all the attention of Lob riveted means moved towards the bed of Sandy. He paid all attention to the Sandy, not anyone. Seeing the condition, he cried. Faint whine means low crying. With a low voice, with a full of sadness, he cried, and he looking very anxious and pleading very sorrowfully. He was looking very full of sorrow. Seeing the condition, he felt very bad. And the sound of that whine. Whine means the sound of crying, the sound of weeping. And hearing this sound, Sandy stirred just a little. Stirred means moved, make a movement. So hearing the sound of his whining, Sandy made some movement, means her body moved a little. She sighed. Her eyes opened, looking at the door. For a moment, she took a breath. She opened her eyes and looked at the gate. Lob, she murmured. Murmured means speaking in low voice, very low voice. Lobby boy. Sandy moved her left arm, the one that was not broken, and let her dangle down, as she always did in the morning, for Lob's furry head. Then Sandy became conscious. She moved her left arm that is not broken, and she put her hand on Lob. She moved her hand on the furry head of the Lob. It was the habit. She did this everything when she was fine. She did every morning this activity. Granny Pierce and Lob moved to the bedside. She looked at the smile on her granddaughter's face as the groping fingers found Lob's wet ears and gently pulled them. Now, Granny Pierce and Lob went to the bedside of Sandy. Then Sandy smiled, looking the Lob. She felt happy. She put her fingers, she searched. Groping means searched. She searched the Lob's wet ears and she pulled the ears by her fingers. Good boy, and says very silently in a low voice, called him a good boy. And again she became unconscious. Granny Pierce led Lob out into the passage again. There he ran off swiftly down the stairs. Bert and Jean had come out into the passage. After that, Granny took the Lob back again to the passage and he ran down out of the hospital through the stairs. At the same time, the parents were coming inside the hospital through the passage. Listen, mother, said Bert. Lob was killed by the same truck that hit Sandy. Don found him. He was dead. Don rode a half-mile out to sea and sank the dog with a lump of concrete tied to his collar. Poor old boy. Then Bert informed her mother, Miss Granny of Sandy, that Lob was killed in that accident and his son Don sank him down into the sea half-mile away. He tied some heavy thing to his collar so that he would sink down easily. Sank him at sea. Then what? Slowly, old Mrs. Pierce and then the other two turned to look at the trail of dripping wet footprints that led down the hospital. Then all got surprised and looked to each other and turned to look down the wet footprints that was following to the hospital stairs. In the Penchleys garden, they have a stone under palm tree. It says, Lob Sandy's dog, buried at sea. So, they got surprised that how he was there and who was there in the hospital. After that, in their garden, they put a stone in memory of Lob and put there a remark, Lob Sandy's dog, buried at sea. So, children, this chapter is now finished here. I hope you understood the explanation and you would enjoy the story. Okay, thank you so much.